Working with some scissor over comb. This particular method we're going to be using is stationary method. So you can layer or graduate the hair by simply using a stationary scissor over comb method. This is when you will pick up the hair using your comb and release the length by cutting. Usually done with a club cutting technique or a point cutting technique. The comb will stay stationary and the comb will lift the hair away from the head. You can take away as much or as little hair as required in this method. Keep combing the hair down to check it and make sure that you've got a nice even weight distribution. Use your guidelines to connect excess hair as you work through the sections with your stationary scissor over comb method. The comb is being pulled out at a 90-degree angle from the head in this case, as we just want to keep a layered system. Here we can tilt the comb slightly with a little bit more of an angle at the baseline to create a taper or a graduated effect. Work around the area of the head you are working with and reduce the weight and the length. In this case we are looking at creating a graduated effect as we work up through the back of the head. So we are pulling the comb further away from the head as we work up the back of the head. Stationary scissor over comb method is really about creating a nice even balanced look, layering or graduating in the desired area you're working with. Keep moving the head around to ensure that you have got a really nice balanced effect. Look for guidelines and reduce the length accordingly. Keep combing and checking the hair as you're working through. Find your guideline and reduce the excess accordingly. Visually, you're checking to make sure that the balance is correct. Here we are changing the angle of the comb slightly to enable us to graduate into the bottom neckline or baseline area. Here we are pulling the hair straight out at a 90-degree angle to create a uniform layered effect. Here you can identify the guidelines and reduce the weight and the length in between the guidelines. Keep combing and checking as you're working around the head. Stationary scissor over comb methods are a really good way of making sure you have a really decent effect. Here we're going to change. I'm going to go for more of a motion scissor over comb. So at this stage we are going to go for more of a graduated effect, and the comb will pull out as you work up through the back of the head, coming out further from the head as you work up, enabling weight and length to be left in the middle center part of the back of the head, graduating towards the bottom baseline or the neckline. This method of stationary scissor over comb is a way of controlling the motion and the comb and the scissor working together at all times. The comb is being moved slowly through the head and the scissor is reducing the length and the weight as you go. The motion that we are using is often called a C-curve, and that is enabling us to get graduation. We're using the thicker part of our comb as the blockhead has got quite thick hair. The work really comes from the thumb when you're scissor over combing, and the thumb tends to do all of the controlling of the cutting process. A slow, methodical, orderly method with a motion scissor over comb, pulling the comb away from the head as we work out to maintain that graduated heavier effect around the middle part of the back of the head. As a rule, you tend to use the comb and the scissors together in a direction that suits the style of the cut. So in this case we're working straight up through the back of the head. We are using our comb to pull the hair out from the head and our scissor to cut the excess. You can see that the motion is quite slick and smooth, and you should be working towards that. As a rule, we tend to open our scissors as wide or wider than the comb on each aspect of the cut. Keep checking visually and keep moving up the head, creating a very even, nice result. Keep combing and checking, visually looking. You're looking for weight distribution or uneven effect, and then you can go back through and reconnect and remove any length or weight as required. At this stage, we are going to be showing you how the scissor is operated along with the comb as a motion of togetherness, so they come united. You can hold the comb either at the bottom or the top. It's a technique that you can master and develop for yourself. So at this stage, I'm holding the comb at the top aspect and over the top, and then easy to comb back down and check. But you may use whichever technique suits you better. Here we're going to show you how to make the really nice connection on the neckline. So first things first, check your clippers. Always check them on yourself before you apply them to the customer's head. Hold the clippers with a balanced motion, comb down to check, and create a solid baseline shape, often known as a square neckline. There are many different ways to finish a neckline. Square, rounded, tapered, faded, or natural are a few selections. At this stage we're combing and checking and creating a very nice straight edge to the back of the haircut. The clipper should not be pushed in too tight to the customer's head, as it could scratch or damage the skin or just be uncomfortable. As a process, you usually create the shape first and then remove neck hair going up to the shape or up to the baseline, just to keep it nice and tidy. Now we're going to taper in using a graduated clipper over comb method around the very baseline of the haircut. Using the comb at a 45-degree angle, we are literally just tapering off those edges to make it a little bit more graduated. And you can do that again using a kind of a C curve motion as you work up through the first inch or two of the back of the head, depending on your customer's requirements. This will be very individual, and you will have to make these decisions as you're working through each haircut. Keep checking, removing any excess, and the name of the game is to create a nice straight even effect. You can also taper by combing down and using the clipper under the comb, so up or down. This way you can then get a really nice balanced even effect. So up, taper, clipper over comb, remove any excess, using the clippers on a sideways motion along the comb, as this creates an element of control. Visually you're checking, so it's all visual, and then you can work your way through the back of the head, pulling out, complementing the graduation as you're working. At this stage it's very important to check the balance on the corners or on the sides, so you can just taper off any edges you require, and we are working along the side of the neckline, again using a clipper over comb technique and an angle to complement the graduation as we're working. And you can comb the hair down, remove any excess using the comb as a guide. This will all depend on your customer's neckline, the shape required, and as we said, very individual. Use a point cutting technique with your clippers to just remove or soften areas as required, and that's an option that you should all be looking at. Head position is crucial, so at this stage we've just lifted the head up slightly, using the comb to pull the hair down and then remove any excess length with a clipper over comb method. Nice and even. Come in, taper, check, pull the comb out to complement the graduation. And continue just to work through the back of the head, checking as you're going. This clipper over comb method is using the clippers working up the comb rather than across the comb, and those are the variations of the techniques that you can use as you're using a clipper over comb technique. Try to always use your clippers in a very controlled manner. You'll get a better result. You can see as I work up through the head, I'm pulling the comb out further to ensure that we keep an element of that graduation situated around the back of the head, usually roughly where the occipital bone is, and that will create a really nice graduated effect. But tapering it in to the baseline or the perimeter line or the neck area. So again, repeating the process of either working the comb up the hairline or down the hairline, both at the same angle, both complementing a tapered effect.